Shout out to Bring Our Q, Julius, you legend. We're going to do a joint interview, yeah? Yeah, we'll do a joint interview, Julius. Thanks for the support. You're a legend. From your girls, Raven and Ellie.
Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Michaela Mayer said this about her old buddy, Alicia Baumgardner. She has no stamina, completely gassed out against Mekhaled by the third.
We've talked about this.
She obviously looked good. She looked strong and powerful. She always had that strength. Always known that she's a big puncher. Baumgardner almost finished Mekhaled in that second round, and when she came out in the third, she had completely gassed out. I mean, she had punched herself out by round 3 in a 2-minute round. I don't know what she's been doing since my fight. Maybe her head got a little big. She's just in there in the gym, continuing to hit those weights and getting all hyped on that. But she has a conditioning problem. She has no stamina. I don't know. I don't know what she's doing. She couldn't last 3 rounds.
In my previous video, we talked about Michaela's observations and what bits and pieces she's leaving out. That while it is true that Alicia gassed out, there's a reason for that.
It's because she got Elham Mekhaled hurt. And the question then becomes, well, how did she get Elham Mekhaled hurt?
Well, that's because Elham kept taking chances, kept trying to mix it up with Alicia, standing in front of her.
Elham didn't fight the fight that Michaela Mayer fought. Michaela Mayer fought a more defensively responsible, safety-first kind of fight, whereas Elham,
she took chances.
So unless you're going to do what Elham did, unless you're going to fight the kind of fight that Elham fought, Alicia Baumgardner's gas tank doesn't even come into it, because where she may have tired with Elham, she didn't tire with you.
Michaela almost sounds like she's speaking from the perspective of somebody who's never fought Alicia before, when we all know they've fought before, and there were no gas tank issues in their fight.
Post-fight, nobody was talking about how tired Alicia got during the Mayer fight.
Because she didn't get tired, so is it really a gas tank issue?
The assignment for Michaela Mayer, ahead of what could be a rematch between her and Alicia, the assignment is a unique one, because she's got to be defensively responsible enough that she's not on the receiving end of Alicia's power, though at the same time, she's got to try to push the pace to get Alicia to tire. So how do you do that?
So how do you push the pace fighting a safety-first kind of fight?
It's easier said than done. Most things are. If you push the pace like Elham did, you might get yourself hurt. You might even get yourself knocked out. But if you do what you did before, you're just going to lose on points again.
You'll still lose, just not by as wide a margin. Not as wide as Elham and Alicia's fight.
Mayer versus Baumgardner 2 is a highly anticipated rematch. It's a sexy fight.
Ow.
People won't shut up about it, Mayer said of the rematch. Everybody's asking. The whole undisputed night, it became about me. Everybody was asking about me. Everyone was asking about the rematch. That obviously pisses her the hell off. But you know, it's just what the fans want to see. It's the next best business move for her. We've always known she wasn't that smart, so of course she's not going to want to capitalize on that right away, but it's definitely the best move for her. She's learning. She's learning.
How far do you think we are from this rematch? How far do you think we are from a second fight?
That depends. Alicia Baumgardner has her sights set on the big fish. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, she wants the winner of that fight. The fight that's supposed to go down in May.
She has to wait for a winner to emerge.
But what if the winner is Amanda Serrano? What if Amanda has it all figured out, she goes to Ireland, she upsets the apple cart for Katie? Well, then suddenly, there might be 3 fights.
If she goes to Ireland and she beats Katie, if Katie won the first one and Amanda won the second one, in all likelihood, they're gonna do a rubber match. They're gonna do a third fight.
If Amanda wins, and if Amanda wins, that then means that Alicia would have to wait.
So who does she fight while she waits? Michaela Mayer is an option.
Now let's say that it happens the other way. Let's say that Katie Taylor wins the rematch. Let's say that Katie Taylor wins the second fight. Well, I heard something about Katie Taylor potentially taking on Chantel Cameron at Croke Park.
The undisputed super lightweight champion. The undisputed lightweight champion versus the undisputed super lightweight champion. Yet another fight for Katie that's been years in the making.
I heard something about them looking at that fight for September, provided that Katie Taylor makes it past Amendia for the second time in May. In that situation, once again, Alicia would have to wait.
So who does she fight while she waits? Michaela Mayer is an option.
Michaela Mayer! is rumored to be taking on former WBO super lightweight champion Christina Linardatu.
That fight was supposed to be going down on the undercard of Taylor versus Catterall 2, but we all know what happened to that fight. Now, Josh Taylor, he's going to be taking on Teofimo Lopez. Will Mayer versus Linardatu end up on the undercard of that fight?
It might. And we might end up seeing Alicia Baumgardner at least one more time before she takes on either Michaela Mayer or the winner of Taylor versus Serrano. We might see her defend her undisputed crown.
Or we might see her move up in weight, move up to lightweight, get her feet wet up there, try things out.
We might, because the winner of Taylor versus Serrano 2 doesn't become available to anyone until, I don't know, September, the earliest?
I hardly think Alicia Baumgartner's going to sit on the shelf until September.
Katie and Amanda are fighting for the second time in May. We don't know what's going to happen yet.
And between May and September, Alicia's got to have a fight.
That's how it's looking. In men's super flyweight news, an unexpected turn of events, at least in part. I didn't expect that Kazuto Ioka would take on his mandatory challenger and former WBO flyweight champion Junto Nakatani. I anticipated that he would vacate the WBO title. What I didn't anticipate is that he would enter into negotiations for a Joshua Franco rematch. Joshua Franco, the reigning WBA champion, who was elevated to full champion status after Juan Francisco Estrada vacated the WBA title.
The title that he won from Chocolatito in their second fight.
Upon being issued an order to take on his mandatory challenger, Joshua Franco, Juan Francisco Estrada vacated that title, at which point Joshua Franco was elevated to full champion, and he went into talks for a unification match with Kazuto Ioka. They had that match, but it was scored a draw.
So now they've got unfinished business.
And that unfinished business is what Kazuto Ioka hopes to settle in June. So we are a ways out from that rematch. We are a ways out from the second fight. He has vacated his WBO title.
Few thoughts.
Kazuto Ioka is a decorated fighter, but he's also an aging fighter. A 4-division champion. He's been there and done that with a lot of fighters. To Kazuto, taking on Junto Nakatani in defense of the WBO title, it seems like a high-risk, low-reward to him. For that, he'll stick to the devil that he knows. He'll stick to Joshua Franco.
Because he has at least fought him before.
The experiences from the first fight he hopes to use ahead of a second one to secure the W the second time out where he couldn't the first time. And, Joshua's got a belt that he can win.
There's that.
Kazuto had a few advantages going into that first fight, one of which he won't have going into the second.
Going into that first fight, it had been over a year's time since Joshua Franco had a fight.
Joshua Franco had won a unanimous decision against Australia's own Andrew Maloney in August of 2021. He didn't have the fight with Kazuto until December of 2022, so he had been out for a little over a year's time. Needless to say, he had some ring rust to shake off.
But in spite of the ring rust, he still fought Kazuto to a draw, in spite of having not seen action in over a year's time. Kazuto won't have that advantage.
Not this time, because this time, Joshua Franco will have seen action within the last 12 months. He's not facing a rusty fighter this time out.
Kazuto will still have home field advantage. It's still going to go down in his neck of the woods.
But he's not facing a fighter that has ring rust he needs to shake off.
Now, you can argue that Kazuto Ioka has the experiences from the first fight to draw from, but that applies to Joshua Franco as well. They both have that edge. They both have that advantage.
Now they know each other, having fought each other before. So is it really an advantage?
Kind of cancels out the advantage if it applies to both.
And Kazuto, vacating that WBO title to take on Joshua Franco for a second time, all the way out there in June, in the summer months. You know what that means.
It means he's off the list.
The Ring IQ pound-for-pound list, as I specified in a previous video, per the rules that govern it. No fighter, absent of a world title, is allowed to maintain a rank. The list is only for winners and only for champions. Reigning champions, not former champions.
Not guys that used to have a belt.
Not what you used to have, what you still have, and what you can defend.
You need a belt.
You need a belt just to be considered, much less ranked. You need a belt. He ain't got one, and he ain't gonna have one until June, if everything goes to plan. So for the time being, Kazuto Ioka is out, and a vacancy.
There's an open slot to fill.
There are a number of unified champions hanging around. Stefan Fulton, the Super Bantamweight's unified champion, in possession of both the WBC and WBO titles. There is his fellow Super Bantamweight champion, Mudajan Akhmadaliev, as well. He's got the IBF and WBA titles, like flyweight champion of Japan, Kenshiro Taraji.
Taraji P. Henderson.
She's got a big ass.
I like big asses.
One of these unified champions may occupy that vacancy in the near future. It's just a question of who. It's just a question of which guy is going to occupy that spot. That question will be answered shortly. For now, I guess all we can do is wait for them to make the Ioka versus Franco rematch official, because it's all the way out there in June. Yet another interesting story by way of the men's super flyweight division. Fernando Martinez versus Jade Bornea. TGB Promotions, which is just another way of saying PBC, secured the rights to the IBF title fight.
Fernando Martinez of Argentina became IBF champion by unseating the Philippines' own Jerwin Ancajas, long-reigning IBF champion.
He fought him 2 times. He beat him 2 times. Now, BoxingScene.com has confirmed that TGB has secured the rights to the previously ordered Fernando Martinez versus Jade Bornea mandatory title fight. The company submitted a $25,000 offer as the only bidder during a purse bid hearing held Tuesday at IBF headquarters in Springfield, New Jersey. Per the IBF purse bid rules, TGB was required to submit a 10% deposit, $2,500, with the winning bid. Another 10% must be represented to the IBF within 5 business days of the purse bid hearing, and the fight itself must take place within the next 90 days.
They're on the clock.
Martinez, the champion, is entitled to 65% of the winning bid, which comes out to roughly $16,250. As the defending champion, the remaining 35%, $8,000, will go to Bornea and his team as the mandatory challenger.
You look at those figures, Fernando Martinez as a reigning champion is making next to nothing.
He's not. And he's not making anywhere near what Juan Francisco Estrada is making or what Chocolatito is making for a fight. That all the money for a super flyweight seems to be on the Matchroom side of things or over there in the Orient.
They produce a lot of light flyweights, super flyweights over there.
There is more of an audience for these particular weight classes in the East than there is here in the West. The hope on his side was to secure a title unification bout in arguably the most loaded division in the sport, though every other divisional title holder was booked at the time of his ordered mandated title defense. Lineal WBC champion Juan Francisco Estrada and WBA titleist Joshua Franco are both now in the voluntary phase of their respective title reigns.
And Fernando Martinez was not eligible to face either boxer since the ordered mandated title defense already started the clock.
He's not free to fight someone else. He's not free to unify, not without surrendering the IBF title. Needless to say, he doesn't want that. Fernando Martinez, he's over there on the PBC side of things, and he won't make serious money so long as he's over there.
He won't.
If he makes it through Bornea, it behooves him to cross the street and see about either unifying titles with Juan or giving Chocolatito, one of the most well-known fighters in the men's super flyweight division.
Take care of your mandatory in Bornea to see about fighting Chocolatito as a voluntary. He's got more name value than you do, even though you're the champion.
Make himself some money, because so long as he's on the PBC side of things, not fighting those fighters, he'll continue to be the odd man out, just like Jerwin Ancajas was before him.
Mm-hmm.
This time, it was probably the toughest for me because, of course, every day I talk to Al Haymon. Every day I'm texting Al Haymon, and he's sending me money every day. It went from $5,000 a day, $10,000 a day, to $2,500 a day, $1,500 a day, $1,000 a day, $750 a day, $500 a day, and then it got to $250 a day, and then it was like, Then it was like, hey. Now, I ain't took no check from this. Now he'll tell me, okay, this what you making, da-da-da. I ain't took no check in the last six fights. I know I got money. Where
so money? You're saying that this is money now. He's not loaning you. This is money. This is your money.
This is my money.
Right. He's helping you not spend it all. Is that what it is?
This is my money. So you know, this time it was probably the toughest for me because
That is former 4-division champion Adrian Broner, who very recently sat down with Ak and Barak on the DAZN Boxing Show, detailing bits and pieces of what was going on over there at the PBC during his tenure. And in so many words, he said he never got a check from Al.
Al was, in fact, giving him an allowance, which is confirmation of what I've been telling you guys here on the channel. For whatever reason, Al Haymon hangs on to these guys' prices. He's in control of their money.
And before you go telling me that that's probably just exclusive to Adrian, because, you know, Adrian, he's been unstable a bit the last couple of years, but before you go telling me that it's likely just with Broner this was going on, why was Deontay Wilder seen a couple of days ago complaining about his money not being paid on time, having to wait?
Because it's not just Adrian, it's because Al Haymon is, in fact, holding these fighters' purses hostage and paying them their own money in increments.
Adrian said he didn't get a check from Al for his last 6 fights. His last 6 fights, well, that dates back to 2016. What's that, 6-7 years ago?
This has been going on since the Theophane fight. This has been going on for 7 years.
I've long questioned Al Haymon's business practices, and for the longest time, I suspected that these guys weren't getting all their cash, weren't getting all their money. This is confirmation of that, even though there are those who readily rush to Al Haymon's defense.
Due to tribalist sentiments.
They don't know the man. They've never seen him before. Been in the same room with him, though. Due to some fleeting sense of solidarity fueled by tribalism, they rush to his defense and willfully ignore what Adrian Broner is saying, what now Deontay Wilder is saying. The writing is on the wall. They just refuse to read it.
Denial is a strong drug.
Tribalism leaves these individuals so inclined to believe that Al Haymon is something more than just another boxing guy, just another crook.
They want him to be something more. They want him to be Glenda, the Good Witch of the West, or the Wizard of Oz.
To me, he's just another boxing guy, but these guys choose to look at him through another lens.
Rose-tinted lenses.
It's not because they know the man or they're related to him. They've never met him before. It's sheer tribalism that motivates this.
These guys are fucking stupid, man.
Fucking stupid. There's no other way to put it.
No critical thinking skills. None. What the hell is going on that boxers aren't being given their purses? What the hell is the dichotomy? What's the dynamic that Al Haymon is hanging on to these guys' money and giving it to him in increments?
Not giving it to him up front.
Why not? And what is he doing with the rest of that money the rest of the time if he's not dispersing it to the fighters?
It's their money.
Is he mismanaging it, making poor investments with it that don't pan out? A couple of months ago, Marcos Villegas said that Fox was no longer footing the bill for production costs.
They weren't paying for those pay-per-views, the production costs. They weren't coming from Fox. So where did Al Haymon get the money to pay for those shows?
To make them happen.
And what happens if he's using the fighters' money to pay for those shows? He sticks them on pay-per-view, but the pay-per-view don't sell nothing. What happened?
You're spending the fighters' money to bankroll these fights and sticking them on pay-per-view hoping to get the money back.
But when a pay-per-view don't sell, what happens to the money you used?
You lose it. That's what fucking happens.
Is that what's been going on at the PBC? Is that why Adrian Broner left?
Reason enough to think so.